by something like all toiletries and colleges and HBCUs?
Out there making things happen as opposed to specific organizations. Most organizations that I see, they're kind of playing it safe.
Qualities in leadership, for me personally, has to come from people who are not emotionally led.
The repairing process, because we are traumatized. Yeah.
There's this work that they go to work for because the kids is looking at you like I'm ready to move on to work.
The grammar, the knowledge, and we uncover.
Get back to our natural black family first. You understand?
Family, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, people. Big up. Black Eyes TV in the house once again. Bring you True Talk, the open panel show where we just sit down, have a little discussion about different subject matters. The link is in the chat. Anybody is open to coming on the panel and chatting with me, whoever's around. Today we're talking about government and world systems, and do we trust them? Yeah, this is an open panel show, so big up to everybody out there. The link is in the chat. Anybody can come on and join us. Hit that like button as you come in, people. The donation buttons are there, the Cash App, the PayPal. Feel free to kick in to the channel. As I said, today we're talking about government, we're talking about world systems. At the moment, there's 1,000 laws a minute coming into play every other second. Big up to you, IC3, in the chat. Yeah, like 1,000 rules coming out a second these days. Yeah, today I was looking at this new flying law, that they're trying to come with now, that you fly into England now from any of these countries, all the different money you have to pay, you have to get the quarantine package. That's how they're talking now, just as an example. And it's almost about £2,000 now to fly. It's crazy, over in the States, they got their new president, Mr. Biden, doing his thing, laying down 1,000 executive laws a second. Yeah, and the question is, do we trust government systems? But I want to kind of flip it and bounce it for people that come on. Anybody who wants to come, I want to ask, first of all, what systems do we trust? Because I think it's easy for us as black people and based on our history to say, listen, we don't trust not a rotted thing. And I wouldn't disagree with most people that say that they don't trust nothing out here as far as government systems. But then when the pressure's off, when there isn't a COVID pandemic situation going on and everything seems to be quote unquote back to normal or as it was normal, there's a lot of day-to-day things that we take for granted, clearly, and that we go with no argument. So, in order for a real honest answer of what we don't trust, which I think at this point is obvious, we can talk about vaccines, we can talk about that situation, lockdowns, etc., etc. But in order to really have a balanced conversation, we need to kind of be honest about what do we rock with and what don't we rock with. So, I want people to come on today. Big up to Brianna, big up to everyone joining me. The link is in the chat. Anybody can come on. Feel free, jump on, voice your opinion. As I said, we're talking about government systems and governments in general, and do we trust them? But right now, I'm asking you, the audience that's watching, and anybody that wants to come on and voice their opinion, I'm asking, what systems do we trust? Because again, it's easy to distrust everything in this time frame of everything being locked down. It's mad pressure. But on a normal one, a lot of people are going with a lot of systems without a second thought. They're not questioning half the things, whether it's going to the doctor, whether it's going to the hospital. So at what point does the distrust of government systems start and government start, and when does it not end? Or okay, when does it end? Yeah, we can stick with that statement. When does it end? Because again, as I said, when the pressure's not on, if something's wrong with you, more time you're taking yourself to the hospital, you take to the doctors, you're doing it. It's not really a big thing. But now in this pandemic situation and some other situations that are happening, I know if I generally ask this question right now in regards to vaccinations and government lockdowns, most people are going to say, no, I don't trust them. So as I said, I'm trying to ask you, what do they trust? Is there anything that they trust? Yeah, big up to you, IC3. Welcome, my brother.
Yes, how you doing? Good evening. Good evening. Yeah, this is a very deep and wide and serious topic. That word trust is the pillar of everything. It deals with money,
right,
banking, health. It's the whole
education
world. Yeah, it's the world. It's actually the world. So the world that we're in is constructed and maintained by trust. If trust is lost, the whole civilization, the whole empire starts to crumble. So they have to continually, in order to maintain power, got to keep the people believing. It's called the NHS. The NHS is financed by the NHS Trust. I think that's what I usually see on the paper. When you get a letter from the hospital, the NHS Trust. And they say that there's the trustafarians or people that put money in trusts in order to avoid tax or whatever. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but this word trust is so powerful. And then I like what Neely Fuller says. He basically says, from what I remember, that under the system of white supremacy, it's like being in a prison. So if you're in a prison, what are you gonna say? Oh, I don't trust the prison. You're in the prison.
You don't have a choice of the matter.
Exactly. So where does trust fit in if you're talking to prisoners? Right? If you go and visit a prisoner and say,
listen, that right there is a good point. And that's why I kind of say right now everybody's on lockdown, so everybody kind of automatically feels like a prisoner. And as Brianna said in the chat, what have they ever given us reason to trust them for, which I'm totally with. Yeah. But that's why I ask, in a normal situation, if we take away this COVID thing, we've had these conversations before about government entities and what are they about and who are they and all that kind of thing, and do we trust them? And as I said, generally the answer is no. I'm totally with that answer. But then I look and I see us, quote unquote, trusting, or like you just pointed out, through no choice, having to behold to whatever system they choose to put on our heads. You understand? So again, as you've just pointed out, which is a good point, are we ever really trusting, or are we just in a situation where we're kind of forced to follow?
Right. So that word trust, would it apply to prisoners? I never thought of this that way before. Are we in a position of to choose whether to trust or not? You see, so if I was to go down to a prison and say to the prisoners in there, "Hello, do any of you trust what's going on in this prison?" It's like, what kind of conversation is that? It's like, trust or no trust. That word doesn't seem to have any value or meaning inside a prison.
Well, we
For
always
me,
talk
I'm
about
thinking that way.
well, look at this. We talk about human rights all the time. It's bantered around all the time. Human rights, human rights. Regardless of whatever you've done, you've got human rights.
Right.
So there is, to a certain level of trust, I suppose, to at least that I'd hold to my human rights, in it. So again, basic levels of shelter, food, clothing, you're trusting that your human rights will be recognized by that government and by the systems that they have in place, that on some level, whether it's a gyro, whether it's a food bank, but there'll be some provision made for you. But again, I do feel like that's a different level again of trust. It's a kind of wishful trust rather than an option to trust. If I'm making sense, you're still not being given an option. You're just having to trust that they deal with you.
Well, is that trust? Is it just, should that word trust be put in there? Or should we say, you'll just have to accept what they give you? Trust or no trust? It makes no difference whether you trust or not, does it?
Right.
I'm just thinking about this. It's quite a strange angle, actually. It's like, if you go back even to a deeper level, does a slave trust? Does somebody who's been enslaved trust? Does that word apply? I'm beginning to think it doesn't.
No, well, I mean, look, if you're talking about true slavery, child slavery, then already you're not human. So that trust for basic human rights is already out the window. Mm-hmm. So you're wishing that you get fed and you get looked after in some way, but obviously you're already in a downgraded position.
Right.
But with society today, obviously, you being a citizen of this country and whatever other country you are, you're sold on the idea that obviously you're a citizen, so you have rights. You are recognized as a human being with basic human rights and basic needs and all sorts of things, isn't it? So from that standpoint, I think there's more of a trust circumstance to kind of come from it. You're just on a basic one, and that's without looking at the history of the government, us as black people under these diasporan governments, because that changes the whole argument. That's like talking again about the slavery aspect. If you've never been recognized as a true human being, then you can't really have trust to be treated as such, and maybe that comes into it.
Yeah, so you're dealing with that word rights. So see, this is quite tricky because you're dealing with the words trust and then rights, and then what is the relationship between rights and trust? You see, having rights. Are your rights granted you because you trust the system, or the system grants rights to those who have faith in it, who are believers, almost like a religion. Almost, it's almost like a religion. And if you start to doubt the system, you can be perceived as somebody with a mental illness.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's like conforming. What you're really talking is a level of conforming. Obviously, if you're in a country and you're being sold these bill of rights that you're a citizen, you mean just as much as everyone else, and then you still seem to be going on with a anti-establishment attitude, that's where they start to look at you like you're crazy, innit?
Yes,
And now
that's right.
you're causing anarchy, you know.
Yes.
And this is the illusion of inclusion type argument that we go through, innit? Where we're made to feel like true citizens as black people. And again, like Sharif's saying here, how can we trust the people that have done so much wickedness to our people and justify their actions by dehumanizing us? I'm with you. Again, if we're looking at real-time history, the relationship's already in tatters. They've already shown that, as we just mentioned from the beginning, they're not really looking at you on an equal plane. So when we're talking about can you really trust them to give you something, that the answer would be no. The answer would be, can you even use the word trust? Is it even appropriate to use the word trust? Because there's never been a basis of trust. You know, big up to my brethren George Macon, who's just joined us live from Philly. Well, go on, brother. You there?
Well, go on.
Well, go on, family. How you doing?
What's going on, man? I just driving in the car. I seen you popped on. What's the topic?
We're just talking about, can we trust in government systems? And is there reason even a basis to trust? Because as I was saying to certain people, you know, before we it's easy to say we don't trust anything. I'm asking people as well, what do we trust? Because if you take away this COVID situation, you know, in your everyday life, we're still going to the doctors, we're still going to hospital, we're still going to jobs, we're sending our kids to school, we're doing things. So clearly, we're there on some level, we're having to interact with the system and the government. Big up to you, Frank, for joining us. Yeah. But as me and IC3 was just talking about, is it really trust if you don't have any options?
I'll give you one better.
To do anything else.
I'll give you one better. What we talk about on the phone all the time, Richie. At this point in 2021, the majority of us, even the coons, know. If you get them to talk behind closed doors, no, we can't trust the government. White folks don't trust the government. This is the thing. What I ask black people today: can we trust black people that put on suits and talk articulate, that say that they speak for us, that represent us to the government? Because we know that we know our history all throughout the diaspora in Africa, what the government historically has done to us. But now black people, to me, are looking at a white man with side eye, even if they cool. But for the most part, if a black person put a suit on, they talk articulate, and they say that, you know, they're in government, black people, man, they'll go vote for Joe Biden, go do this. Black folks will do it. If a pastor come out and say, let's just pray, oh man, he's the good bishop. Bishop said, let's do this, and then we go do it. So my question is, can we trust black people that stand out in front of us, that speak for the masses of black people? Are they the biggest traitors, or is it the government in 2021? That's the way I'm seeing it now.
Yeah. So to that question, if we agree that we're in a prison scenario, the prison guards or the prison manager could appoint one of your fellow prisoners to be a manager over the other prisoners. Yeah,
the overseer situation.
Yeah,
exactly. You see,
1,000%.
Right. So The question is whether that other prisoner, that fellow prisoner of yours that has been appointed to rule over you, they're still a prisoner. So whether to trust them or not really is not really the issue. It's the governor. It's the prison managers themselves.
But I think that what we have to do is we have to begin as Black people. Something that me and my father just had this conversation last week, and I asked my dad. I said, "Dad, what was the Black Power revolution about?" And he gave me a whole explanation, totally different than the way we've been told. My dad was there. My dad was on the ground in 1968. In 1968, he was 23 years old. He was right there, on his way to Vietnam. So he was there. He's seen it. He was a part of it. And he told me, he said, the Black Power revolution was really a revolution in the Black community against the old Black political structure, telling the world that they don't speak for us. When you had those riots in the streets for Bloody Summer 1967, that was the kids in the streets rioting and tearing up cities because of what they tried to paint the narrative that it was just against white people. No, it was against the sellout ass Negroes. And what we have to do, because you got a lot of Black people across the diaspora that's living fat off the dysfunction of the Black community and the non-trust of the government. What I'm trying to say is we already know historically what the white man has done to us. The problem is they use these pastors, they use these Black people in powerful positions to come and keep us in the mindset that we're in. And until we as a people begin to say, if you represent the Black community, you have to get the changes that we want. We be on these channels ripping and raving for years, but we got to get the people that actually talks in the language that we want them to talk. Most of these Black leaders do not talk like we talk, or the people
they can't.
We come from talk.
Yeah, but they can't.
But because I'm trying to. But this is the thing. Yes, they can. They really can. The thing is,
What?
we're not. I'm gonna tell you. Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm saying, because the white man is not God. Listen to me. They really can, but we're not demanding it, and we're not fighting for it in a manner in which we should. That's why we keep perishing.
We're not holding their feet to the fire.
Yes, or ourselves.
Well,
go ahead.
No. I'm with you, George. I'm totally with you that we as a people, if we're talking about intermediates of interacting with the government and make laws and stuff, then those people have to be held to a certain accountability. If we're having a political party, it can't be part of the current structure if we're expecting something different to happen.
Okay, what do you think of this? Okay, so you have the white supremacists at the top, then they have their middlemen just below them, and then we're at the bottom, right? The middle, the middlemen and women could be Black. Okay, often are Black, so they're in the middle. So the white supremacists at the top, the middlemen, the buffers in the middle, and then we're at the bottom, right? So what do you think of this? If I was to say to you that the solution must be an inversion of that structure. In other words, it's those at the bottom have to come up with a plan and an idea that will be the solution to the situation. I'm saying that the ones in the middle are actually in a worse position than the ones at the bottom. I'm saying the whole structure has to be turned upside down.
That's bullshit, bro. I can't let you get away with that. That's bullshit.
Okay, let's hear what you say. Come on,
listen. Like I told you, Richie, it's 2021. I'm not dealing with this type of shit, man. This year, I'm not. This man just sat here and said those in the middle are in a worse position, where those in the middle are the educated ones. Those in the middle they're getting their 501c3s. Those in the middle understands government compliance. Those in the middle are the ones that's in the middle today are in the middle today because of the fight of the people yesterday that died, that fought tooth and nail for them to get in position to even be in the middle. Until we're uncompromising the way white supremacy is, then we're going to continue to be in the middle. I'm not I'm not dealing with that. I'm like no, not this time. Not this year, 2021, man.
Watch this. See, the thing is, yeah, that always kills me with these government political. We need to create leaders and send them into the house to do the work. There's always the same point, and me and George have talked about this before, where those people, those elected people who we come up with to be leaders and all this, yeah, seem to always disappear. They always seem to get to a certain point and then they disappear into the realm of the government or the system or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, you know, as man's saying, we can't even trust ourselves to police that situation. Our leaders that we're creating, because again, we've had many talks where the local politics conversation works. I don't have a problem with a local community getting themselves together, electing somebody to help do that, you know, push the fight forward. But then we know the system right now is always fixed to where there's a point where you move from that local parameter situation and now you go to the next level. And it's that next level where there's no room for our same leaders to be the same leaders that we appointed them and continue doing the work. They always seem to be lost. So again, the circumstance alone creates a situation where I don't believe there can be any trust, because the situation of the system itself shows you that it's not working. It's not set to help us. And clearly, anybody we send in there, it turns into a meat grinder, meaning that they never.
Right. So the solution to this problems, this problems have been going for centuries. This situation, but in different circumstances, if we look at it in a military way, there's always a way. So, what would you think if I said that the solution would be an idea? Because the idea would the people at the bottom would understand, the people in the middle would understand, and the people at the top, the white supremacists, would say, look, there's nothing we can do about this idea. The power is in ideas.
George, you want to say something?
We already got the solution. See, this is the thing, man. I can't speak for the brother. We already have the solution. This is the problem.
What is it?
Hold on, bro. I'm ready to tell you. See, this is the thing. We don't follow the historical timelines, man. Whether you in the UK or in America, right? All the bills and all the rights that we have today, most people don't study history. That's how I know. When you, like I said, when you had the bloody summer of '67, when you had all the riots across America, where black people was actually killing white people, and not just Dr. King marching, we should overcome to get fucking bills passed. White people didn't give us anything. We fought for that shit. We killed white people. We died. It was a whole bunch of things. What I'm saying, until black people get to a point where they're willing to be uncompromising,
right,
nothing's going to change. I don't see the thing is where I get passionate with this, because I know American history lies. They show you a study diet of Dr. King. They don't show you Robert Charles. They don't show you Charles Dessalines. They don't show you the people that was on the ground, Sundiata Acoli, and all the people that was on the ground blowing up shit, killing white people, forcing the federal government to come in and enforce federal law over state law in order for us to even get the little bit of the rights that we got today. That came from, that didn't come from marching we should overcome.
Right.
That shit came from, but I'm gonna tell you what propaganda do. They don't let you know who these people are. See, like I told you, my dad told me from 1968 to 74, when they finally started flooding American streets with heroin, that was to make sure that you don't have another 60s Black Power revolution, because the Black Power revolution is what got those civil rights bills passed. Dr. King was the peace, but the military behind it was all the riots in the streets, all the fights, the non-defiant are saying, you slap me, I'm slapping you back. I'm not putting my head down no more. You're not hanging me the way you hung my grandfather. So what happened was my dad said, when you had the Mumia Abu Jamals, the H-Rap Browns, they came out, Dr. Reverend Albert Cleage, they came out and said that these black leaderships do not speak for us. They
Right.
respected Dr. King, but they didn't respect a lot of the way that they were moving. So it was the movement of the youth in the streets that got that stuff moved, because the young people was not going for it. So what the government did, the counter that was flood the streets with the first heroin holocaust. They took heroin, which was a party drug, and made it cheap and put it all throughout the communities. And that's when you
Flood
start
the
seeing
streets.
Superfly. That's when you
Yeah.
start seeing Superfly. They start making movies, black exploitation movies. That came later. So my problem is we don't understand our history. We already given the fucking blueprint. I mean, we can literally, listen, the black motherfucker in London can go fuck a white woman today without worrying about getting hung. How the fuck you think he can do that shit? That shit didn't come from sit-ins and praying. That shit came from the Black Power Revolution also in the UK. Blowing up shit, fighting.
Right.
Man, we got to get our shit together, bro. I'm telling you, man. We got to get our
Okay.
shit together.
Okay. I understand the point. So, you see, before people can get physically motivated to get involved in something, there has to be some new idea or ideological position behind it, that then when the people hear it, they get inspired to do
I
something.
think, hold on, I think the
No?
ideological idea is there already. I don't think the idea needs to change. I think, like George said, the idea is being seeded. The problem is that, again, the way society is formed, you're it's the path of least resistance that you're given to conform, innit? As we said, all of the real things that get change, or that we would need to do to get change here in the diasporan countries, is stuff that's going to make you uncomfortable, probably make you get prosecuted, probably make you starve a little. Yeah, you're not going to be living a certain life. These are all difficult choices. So that by default is why you're having a problem. While man them can still put on Netflix and chill as an option, to you talking about reparations banks, to me and George talking about black power movements, while that's still an option for the general mass, and they can tune out and drop out and all of that, then this is where the problem comes. You know, the conformity is too easy. That's why now, even with this vaccine situation, you're seeing them use your lifestyle, first of all, before the real stick comes out. The carrot is that, look, if you want to just maintain your lifestyle, go out to your bars and restaurants and do your stuff, then, you know, go along with this situation, even though there's health risks and all the rest of it that goes along with it. Again, we're going to create a scenario for you to jump on that should make your life somehow easier, so you feel like, yeah, this is the thing I want to do. That's the problem right there.
And the solution, okay, yeah. So I think we've got you've laid out a good, mapped out the problem quite well. But is it well enough? So they're saying, okay, the other brother was saying, yes, we've got to know our history. Okay. So knowing our history is not going to be sufficient, is it? We're going to have to understand how things have changed, and how the map has changed, how the terrain has changed, in order to find a solution. So it's good, yes, to know history, but knowing history is not enough, I would say. You may disagree with me on that. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say.
Who's that?
You can't compete against other groups that know their history when you don't know enough of their history. It don't work that way. That's why other groups seem like they're more cultured than you are, to come together for a common goal. But the message I'm trying to convey to you is, take women out the equation for a minute. Groups of other men, when they come into countries, They already come with an agenda. They have an intact language, an intact culture, an intact historical culture that dictates how they operate and how they treat each other. Because we've been removed from that and we don't understand it, this is why we're moving in the manner in which we're doing. When you go back to our grandparents in them era, they didn't really have to know so much of the history. What they knew was full onslaught oppression from the white man. So they was running from Jamaica. They was running from different countries, going to different places, and we was experiencing this shit globally. So we knew that we had to bond together in order to get certain things done. The problem that you got today is the illusion of inclusion, where the white man got crafty. The white man said, okay, I'm not going to openly hang them and openly call them nigga. I'm going to let them into the system and let some of them get jobs and do certain things that we didn't let their grandfathers do. The problem that you're leaving out is those same groups that you're competing against still know their history. And the fact that they know their history, who they are and where they come from is what binds them together to build communities over you. That's why everywhere you go around the world, when you see black people, you see other groups there that are doing better than the black people, because they have a historical reference as to how they're moving. So now if you go to the economic part, I won't disagree with you. But if you don't put the historical part in there, that's going to dictate how we move. We're not going to be able to compete against other groups. It's just not going to work. And I'm riding through Little Africa right now in Southwest Philadelphia. The Africans come here, they're doing better than the Black Americans here because they come here with a historical reference of who they are, an intact language, and what it is that they need to be doing. The goddamn black people that have been here for fucking centuries are still walking around like chickens with no head and no leadership.
Right.
Brother
Frank,
George.
that's go to Frank.
I'm gonna ask Brother George. Would you say those African immigrants are allowed to progress over the so-called Black Americans?
Well, I would say this,
yes,
brother.
I reckon.
I would answer it to you this way, family. They are to a certain extent, but I want you to understand something. When I can get out the car right now and come talk to some Africans. The difference between the Africans and the African Americans is, even though they went through colonization, they have not been stripped of their languages, their religion, and their understanding of what it is to be African. So even though they come here and might coon a little bit, they still have a frame of reference of who they are. So when they come here, they bound together under that. Black people here in America, we've been stripped of that and been fed an illusion of American culture. So when I look at the Africans, they may get a little Americanized, but you'll still see them in their kente cloths. You'll still see them in the African stores. You'll still see them bounding together under that culture that we've been stripped from. And I had to learn that. That's so important. That's why the white man went out of his way to separate us. That's why in the Caribbean, I'm proving it. In the Caribbean, you got brothers from Jamaica that don't like Haitians. Haitians don't like Black Americans. Black Americans don't like Jamaicans. You go over to the UK, the Jamaicans and the Africans don't get along. Like, this shit is fucked up. They knew what they was doing.
What do you think of this? Do you agree, or do you share the same model as I share? Because I agree with Neely Fuller that it's all in a prison. We're all in a prison system, and so if you're all in a prison, our sector of the prison, we could be in that sector of the prison, living as we do and discussing as we do, how to get out, and then a new batch of prisoners are come in. And they're from African, they're wearing African kente cloth. And when we see these new prisoners arrive, we say, oh, look at those new prisoners coming into the prison. And they've been put over in that section, and they got better pillows and mattresses than us. And then we say, well, so what do? Do we start complaining about these Africans? These Africans, they're over in that section of the prison, and they've only just arrived. And they got new mattresses and pillows.
That's a whole different subject.
That's something that's already occurred with like the ADOS movement, where you want to take step with a certain group. But what I'm trying to say is this, and what I'm asking to everyone, and I know Victor wants to say something, so Vic, come in 1 second. Like IC3 asks, other than the history, what else is needed to get ourselves into this motivational mind state for the revolution here? Because I'm saying it's when man don't have options. No more options to relax, to just ignore, to sit back with another bag of chips and a Coke and a smile. All of that goes away then that's when revolutions are
But
born.
but Richie, remember, listen, this is what I'm saying, Richie. This is the thing, and let me just say it this way. And Richie, I know you're gonna get what I'm saying, and it might get controversial to some of the brothers, but they may understand, they may not understand.
Lay it
Richie,
out.
Richie, how many times I tell you we not losing the fight? It may look like we're losing, but we're not losing. The only reason
Listen,
why it looks like we're losing
yeah,
because as so-called black people globally, we've been conditioned to look at this system as something greater than our own. The thing is, if the white man hated us so much and could do without us, he would have been got rid of us. He can't live without us. He's conditioned us. He's conditioned us to believe that his shit is better. Our situation is psychological. Today, that every last one of us on this platform decide to say, you know what, no more, brother. Where you at? We going to link and we going to do this shit. The white man ain't God. We going to manifest the reality that we want. Because you got to remember something. This white man's kingdom wasn't always in power. This shit wasn't since the start of mankind. The white man ain't been in power. Everything that you see now, the white man created from other kingdoms. We
right.
listen. There's nothing wrong with us, man. We got the ability to do everything and more. The problem is we live in fear, and like I just said, we're broken up into different groups, and we behave like we're different. So he survives that way because we are the majority. The minority controls the majority psychologically because he got us looking at each other funny, and that's why we not winning. The minute, like I did when Richie came onto my platforms and the African Americans saw how he talked and said, "What do you know about America? You ain't one of us." And I said, "Hold, bro. No, you ain't doing that. I don't do that over here. He is one of us. Just because he talk funny, don't mean that he ain't one of us. He is one of us." I shut that down immediately because I know where that come from. And when the African does that, my homie from the Ivory Coast does. Hold, brother. Just because when they talk about me, just because I talk funny, don't mean he ain't my brother. Until we get out of that mindset, the white man gonna keep winning. We are not losing this battle. It seems like we're losing the battle. This battle is psychological, man. Because the minute black people stand up and say, "Man, I don't want to be oppressed no more," but as long as we love his corporations, as long as we love his corporate shit, as long as we love all his shit, he's going to win. We're not losing, man. But most people won't understand because our pain is tied to the conditions we come from. But that's all. That's all systematically set up, man. The minority is controlling the majority, man. We got black
Okay.
people every motherfucking where.
So
Hold on, IC3. Hold on, IC3. Victor, I know you was gonna say something. We have it.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, brother. Big
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Wagwan.
yeah. Apologies for my abrupt introduction as well and my lateness, yeah. But yeah, when I logged in earlier, all I heard was a question you asked that can we trust the government? Yeah, I mean, if you narrow it down to our government, well, the global government, no, we can't trust a system that's set up by them, Yeah, because we can never trust a folk people. You know what I'm saying to you? Yeah, they're folk tongue. The ancient Americans and that they describe them as folk tongue people, meaning they say one thing and they do the other. So and that's been since the inception of them. So we can never trust anything that they have. Unfortunately, they run the global governance. It's them. So we have to know where we stand in what times that we are in now, because the agenda is to depopulate the entire world. Mainly aiming at melanated people all around the globe. You know what I'm saying to you? So we have to understand what the system that governs the entire world, is about to do to melanated people. So in terms of us saying whether we are not good with each other, like on the continent of diasporans, you know what I'm saying to you? That's not the argument today. Yeah, the argument today is collectively we have to understand what the global system, is about to do to melanated people. I mean, let's just not even narrow it down to melanated people, to humanity as such. There's a great war against humanity. So this is where the mind of the people have to switch to. But unfortunately, like Brother Macon said, a lot of us have been conditioned to the point where we depend on a system that keeps us dependent dumb, and sick. Yes, the system keeps us dependent, stupid, and very sick. So you can see evidently that a lot of people are stupid and sick because they are all going for this agenda. They are giving their souls away. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's really all boils down to, do you trust the people that are out there publicly said on an international forum that they want to depopulate the world by 17% of how much is 17% of 7 billion? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that has to be wiped off the face of the planet. They outline everything that they're going to do to us.
Well, the
So
monument said they want 500,000 on the planet. So
listen,
that's a
yes,
lot of people that have a
exactly.
good few
They
people
told
today.
us exactly how they're going to do it. Like, they're not hiding.
Because they have a plan.
Yes, and the plan's
They
always, and the
have
plan is
a
rolling out.
plan.
So it's not the time to be talking African Americans and all this against each other. No, we have to understand what the play is, and go within, because you can't trust anybody. I mean, you cannot, because the times that we're in, everybody is fighting for their own race. You know what I'm saying to you? It's what you won't say is a race war, but now it's become down to, it's a humanity war. Do you know what I'm saying to you? So we have to understand what times
Hey, can
we're
I
in.
add to what you're saying? Can I add to what you're saying right where you went, and that energy right there? Because I heard the brother say the plan. This is what I'm trying to say is, see, we got to understand something. What I had to learn, I don't compare. I don't think the way white people do. Nor do I. I study my enemy, but I know I'm not him, and I don't compare. I'm gonna tell you what I've learned, and I see this from a more scientific aspect of it. If I'm in Philadelphia, if I go to Texas, they talk real funny. They talk country. And we'll go like, man, them country bumpkins down, them country boys. But at the end of the day, they still my people. My ancestors. We share the same ancestry. Our peoples are the same. So they're my brothers. The thing is, whether me and the guys from Texas come to the UK, once we get there, I'm gonna tell you how the plan will work. When I step off that plane in the UK and I walk through the gulliest section of the fucking UK, when brothers see us walk up, they should walk up to us and see us as brothers, not as ops or anything different. Once we start operating from that mindset, we don't even need a plan. The white man's done. See, the white man spends time
Whoa,
on
whoa, whoa, whoa.
defense.
Say it again. What did you just say?
I'm gonna say it again. The minute we begin to see ourselves, as black people globally, like if I get on a plane with and me and that brother from Texas, right, who look at each other funny because we come from different parts of America. Once we come together and we get on that plane and we come to the UK and we step off the plane, and I walk through the gulliest, the worst section of fucking UK, and when I walk through there, when the brothers jump off the steps and see me, if we walk up and we embrace each other like brothers, like the way we were supposed to, because see, the grand design by the grand architect or the grand Satan was to make us see ourselves as enemies. And that's how he survives, or make us see ourselves as something different. That's how the minority controls the majority. The minute black men globally see another brother as he would see himself, it's over. The grand design was for us to never be able to do that. That's how he controls it. See, we think that we got to have everything that he has in order to compete. No, the grand architect made sure that we see each other as ops. The minute we start unifying under a thought of wanting for your brother what you want for yourself, everything else happens. Everything else formulates. Listen to what I'm saying, brother. We already invented everything. We already created everything. We got black men that got skill sets. We already do all the work. So once those same men that do all the motherfucking work that make the world move begin to see each other as themselves, it's over for them. He'd rather have you building for him.
Okay, so how do you get?
I just told you. See, the problem with you, and I remember you from last year. You don't listen. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, this man.
Watch this, Richie. I'm gonna tell you something. Watch this, Richie. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. The brother, he listens to respond. He doesn't listen to ingest. I just told you. It's not about how. How is what the white man would do. What we got, I'm telling you, fuck the white man. And the way, get your white man, get Freddy Krueger out of your mind. I'm telling you right now, we move the planet and everything that we fucking do. If we take our talents and everything that we do, all our inventions and our creation, and we begin to see another black man as ourself, where everything that we bring to the table is over for the white man, and he knows that. He'd rather use your talent
He
while he can
ceases to
change your
exist.
mind.
Okay.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what would you say to
It's like
this?
you don't get it, brother.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
we get it,
what would
we
you
get
say
it,
to
we
this
get it.
then? The best way in which a black man can see another black man as a brother would be through a code, rather than
Yeah,
hugs, going around the
yeah,
world hugging. What's that? I would
cold.
say codification.
Yes, Nelly Fuller. Yeah.
Yes, rather than going around hugging every black person you see.
But how do we enforce the code, and how do we punish those that violate the code?
There you go.
Codes come out of culture. That's this. This is the kicker. The lack of culture makes it hard to get people to understand the benefit of the code.
What if I was to say to you that it's the code that actually makes a new culture that will create a culture of power? It's
Listen,
an organization of people. Then the culture comes out of the people
Yeah, can I just
identifying
chime in for you?
together.
Yeah, go true.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what both the brothers are saying, yeah, but you know something, those arguments are yesterday's arguments. You know what I'm saying to you? Like right now, I'm gonna put the emphasis on the fact that yes, it's nice for us to know ourselves and to show platonic love towards our brothers and sisters. Yeah, we should have been doing a long time ago. Yeah, like it's a known thing. Yeah, that to love thy neighbor. We've been known that. So if we haven't been able to do that, then it's nobody. Well, we can't really blame anybody but ourselves. Yeah, but the times that we're in us now, this is not the thing to be thinking about. The thinking now is us to move into survival mode. It's the survival of the fittest. Because a system that we've been asked whether can we trust or not, yeah, is about to put measures in place that will sort of rid your civil rights, your human rights.
Yes, we know that.
So wait a minute, because I heard code words. I heard code words. I need a question answer. You said survival of the fittest, because I done heard it all. All right, so correct something for me. You said survival. So does that mean that no? So that means that we shouldn't be moving away. You said what we said is it's survival of the fittest. So that means that anybody of color that's moving with you is who you move with. Is that what you're saying, brother?
Survival of the fittest. Yes.
I knew it. Okay. All right. So you could be fucking a white bitch and she down. You just with the white bitch for the survival of the fittest. That's what you said.
No. That's not knowing thyself. Yeah. You have to know yourself to be comfortable enough to work with anybody. Yeah.
No, listen. I listened well. You said I know what survival of the fittest means. Survival of the fittest means that
it's a global world. It's a global world. You cannot do business with white people. It's impossible. You cannot do business with white people. It's a global world.
So with that being said, why would you come on here and say that what we said is obsolete? If you're saying we know that, that's why we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, can we trust our government? Yeah? What is
your plan? What is your solution? You sound like you're whinging to me. What is your solution? What is your plan?
Bro, listen. This is World Wide Web, innit? You don't have a solution, or out in the open, So what I'm trying to tell you is, recognize what's happening and what you're going to do to survive this period, What are you going to do, You have to think about those things, Because I don't know if
thank you for telling me.
You're not aware of them. Yes. So once you do understand that, then, do you know what I'm saying? Collectively, we can all come together. Do you know what I'm saying?
In what way? Come together and do what?
Just
come together and do what?
Survive.
Good question. Come together and do what?
Come together and survive. What? Go down the survival shop and buy some packs. What?
The brother that's cool.
You don't know what's going on right now? You don't know what's happening right now?
It just sounds like whinging. Oh.
It's not whinging, my brother. Yes. You know, the question was, can you trust your government? Yeah. Every factor that you partake in, yeah, is run by a government. Yes. That government.
So you think you can keep secrets from them, yeah? You
No,
think you can have your plan in secret?
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying
What are you
that.
saying?
I'm saying the question is, can you trust your government? It's a direct question to you. Can you trust them?
Well, trust got nothing to do with it, because I see that we're in a prison. So you saying to a prisoner, do you trust the prison governors? It's like, well, that's irrelevant because you're in prison.
They are making you think like you're in a prison already.
Oh, so you're free. You're outside of prison then, yeah?
No, listen. What is freedom? What is freedom? What is freedom?
We are under the system of white supremacy. Do you believe that or not?
Of course we are. Yes, but what is freedom under that system?
The freedom would be a creation of an alternative worldview that would counter the power of the white supremacists and neutralize their power.
Creating an alternative worldview. What worldview are you talking? What
a counter white supremacist worldview? Yes.
Yes, but what worldview are you talking about?
A new world constructed where white people are neutralized. White supremacy is neutralized so that white people may exist if they want to exist, but black people are sovereign.
And who's going to do that? Who? What do you mean? Who's going to
do that? The black people are going to do that.
Huh?
The black people are going to do that.
Really? Black people are going to do that?
Really?
Look at our predicament now. Yeah.
Hey, let me ask a question real quick, because the brother was quoting Nelly Fuller, and I was just saying, like, Nelly Fuller. Do you know Nelly Fuller's most famous quote? The brother that was quoting Nelly Fuller.
If you don't understand the system of white supremacy, everything else will only confuse you.
Yes.
If you don't understand the system of white supremacy and what it is and how it works, everything you think you know. Now, what that means is, because I'm a study of Nelly Fuller. What that means is, if you don't understand how you have to understand the difference between white supremacy and white power, number one, and you have to understand the legs of white supremacy and how it works and how it affects. See, because the whole thing with Nelly Fuller is telling you is it's psychological. See, this is the thing. We are the plumbers, the engineers, the scientists, the everything. The thing is, do you know that we already, I'll give you an example. We'll go to work and do everything the white man tells us on the job, follow the rules and everything, come right out of work and be divided. So we already unified in building things for this white man.
Yeah.
The message I'm trying to say to black people globally is, this thing is not as hard as we think it is. Freddy Krueger's living in our mind. The minute I start seeing another brother from across the pond, as if I see myself, white supremacy is dead. That's why he doesn't want that. That's why he has black men all in Jamaica and America, everywhere, blowing each other away. Because the motto is, come bring me your talents, but don't love your brother. So the thing is, we waste our time going back and forth. Like this actual white supremacist system, we actually enforce it for them because we work for them every day. We build it for them every day. So the thing is, the white man is saying, as long as you got your guns pointed at each other and not pointed towards me. So I'm telling you, the outside of every argument that we have, the only thing that's going to fix it is when we encounter each other, we see each other as we see our own selves. And guess what?
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to say to you. Watch this, right? Watch this. That's not complicated. Because if I come to the UK, where I'm at in my mentality today, ain't no brother my op. He ain't my op. Once I see another brother, what's up? You know what we doing now? He may not be on that frequency, but I am. And the energy that I put out is the energy that's going to come to me. So I'll end up around brothers that's has the same energy. And we have to start promoting that type of energy, and we don't. Because we still believe that what the white man got is better. That's the issue. It has nothing to do with all this other stuff that we're arguing about. And Dr. Nelly Fuller has been telling us that. That's why he said in the potential.
You still there, George?
You still there?
It's your mindset.
Yeah, go. So, no, George. George, you're cutting out. George, we can't hear you, brother. Go on. What was you going to say, IC3? You'll be
Yes.
back.
Okay.
George, we can't hear you, bruv. You're silent right now. Might be your reception.
My reception was acting up.
Ah, yeah. You're back.
All I'm saying to my brothers is, Millie Fuller in the potentiary code said, for black people, if we're not doing nothing productive, stay away from each other. A lot of people
Right.
mad for that.
Yes.
But what that meant was, until we can psychologically see each other as equals, then there's no reason for us to be around each other, because the way white supremacy is in our head, we will kill and destroy each other. That's the way it's designed. Give me all your talents and wipe yourself out. Matter of fact, go put your phallus into my women. Make more people. Give us everything. Give us your DNA. Give us everything, and do not give it to yourself. So what I'm saying to you is, we can talk all day about a plan. The only plan is when I see the brothers asking a plan, and say, brother, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? How you doing, brother? How can I help you? Until we get to that way of thinking. So the only plan that we should have as black men is creating a plan for black men to love each other, because we do everything else already. There is nothing else to do. It's already done. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We built everything. We got all the talent.
Okay. All right. What do you think of this? Yes, everything you said there stands. But the first thing I believe is that we have to clarify identity. What do we mean by we? What do we mean by brother? Not all people classified as black will accept black as an identity. And if the identity is not for a group of people to effectively organize amongst themselves, they have to be clear on their identity in order to function. Identity has to be sorted out first. So when we say we, what do we mean by we? Like we have the African.
I'll answer that for you. Again.
One second. Just make this one point. For example, the African Union. And then when you ask the question, oh yes, the Africans, but what is an African? Some people think an African is somebody who looks like a black man. Some people think an African is anybody born in Africa. So yes, a white man is an African. So when we say African unity, we mean anybody. So a Chinaman born in Africa, he's an African. So these words, they don't have power if there's no clarity.
My God, man.
Listen, listen. No. Wait. Look, this is what we got to do. In order for these conversations to not stay in the mud and not move forward, we have to assume we're dealing and talking to people of sensible mind state. So first of all, let's go with our senses, our main sense of seeing. You see a black person, you can identify that this is another melanated person from some place around the world. So that's your first starting point, right? You know, without getting too complicated.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you're talking about having economic, understanding, meaning that you understand the worth of somebody from wherever they are, meaning that they have skills, they have a brain, they can construct institutions, organizations, jobs, everything just the same as you. Yeah. Then to me, you're going to need a landmass, because again, while everyone's calling themselves, because this is the problem for me with this, and where we're having this initial conversation, we're questioning whether or not we trust the government to the level that we're talking about, because again, we're in a place that doesn't recognize us as citizens. That's what it is. So for me, when I'm looking at when I'm looking at English people, when I'm looking at people from America, to me, the biggest problem is this: there's no sense of patriotism, because you've already always had an uneasy relationship with the country of that you live in. Yeah, you've never really loved the government or anything. Whether or not you love where you live and you've grown to love your immediate surroundings, there's no real love. Yeah, English, Union Jack, yeah, American flag. If you're one of them guys, then great, innit? You've been absorbed into the system, innit? And again, as George was saying, Freddy Krueger's come along and he snatched your dreams. If that's what you believe, that you're a part of that, then good luck to you. But the truth of it is, we're having this conversation because none of us have real allegiance to the countries that we're from. Yeah. So having an allegiance to a country state, I think it is vital. Because again, when we was talking earlier on in the conversation, and George is talking about driving through Africa, little Africa, and the opportunities that they're making for themselves, and then the next brother asks, are they being allowed to do that? More than the Americans that are there. They are to a certain extent, but that's based on the fact that they come from an actual country that has resources that's worth something, that whether America are raping on some level, always, they still understand they have to have a business relationship with those people from that country because you ultimately want to do business. They're attached to a bigger landmass, a bigger entity of people. It's like disrespecting Chinese people here in the UK. If you do that, you've got to answer to the bigger landmass and body of Chinese people that they associate to. Us here in the diaspora, we don't have that. I think that's a major element to, again, not having any value, one, to the powers that be, the government, because again, you was brought here to fill jobs and do low level, servitude as is. So again, when you start asking for rights, that's not part of the plan. They don't want to give that to you. And again, you are claiming these rights based on your illusion of being a citizen.
Right. Okay. So are you saying then that if all black people were to become citizens of Africa, then our negotiating position would be much different, would be much better? Is that what you're saying?
On a basic premise, yes.
Right.
Not that that's a realistic option of happening as a whole, as all of us, because there's going to be people, as me and Georgia always talk about, that don't want to leave America, don't want to leave the UK, don't want to leave whatever European country they find themselves in. They're quite happy to stay. So that's not going to be for the mass. But the truth of it is, if the majority repatriated or had a working trading relationship with these African countries on a proper level, then straight away, you'd be treated different. This is what Marcus.
Yeah, let me add on, Richie. See, because these are the conversations me and you have on the phone when don't nobody hear. I be telling him. I always tell Richie some of the arguments me and Richie have on the phone, boy, they be epic, boy. But we can't. We'll never get the same energy when we go live. I wish somebody could just have a secret microphone because we be battling.
Exposes.
Yeah, we be back. But this is the thing, right? This is the thing, right? Before we even get to Africa, right, to do business, we would have to have a unified thought. Right? Because Africans, when they're coming on a unified thought on what it is that they want to do. They already have a culture intact that's dictating how they move it. Now you got bullshit Negroes in Africa too, but I'm not talking about them. This is the thing I'm trying to get brothers to understand, right? White people fight amongst each other, but they come together for being white for global domination. And they teach that to the layman whites to enforce their plans. That's why you're seeing these white people storming the Capitol building and nothing's happening. Because if we would have stormed, of course they would have shot us, but they're not going to shoot down them white people because the white people is who they use to enforce white supremacist laws.
Yes.
Now,
right.
but with that being said, when we all agree, this is what we have to understand. Groups of us have to begin to create this energy of black men wanting for his brother what he wants for himself. Those that say, I don't want to identify as black or whatever, when he sees the power behind that, he will begin to identify. Some mixed race kids, some black people want to identify with white because white is the power. White is where the jobs. White is where the beauty. White is where everything at. When we start making loving your brother beautiful, making your brother economically feasible, you'll be surprised how many people will want to be black. People don't want to. So these
Yeah.
words and these things don't matter right now because we're not making it matter. And I'm trying to tell brothers, we got to put out to the universe what it is that we want. The white man ain't God. He ain't even fucking Satan because that's some mythical motherfuckers that we believe are like gods, and then you put them over yourself. Listen, he may be a deceiver if you want to use Satan. Oh my God, yo, these babies almost ran into the fucking street. Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to my brothers is the reality we have to make it that way. So what I'm saying is you got people that can pass for white, Latinos that can pass for damn near white. They rather be white than be African. They rather be everybody want to be everything but African. So even when I use it, even if we don't want to use the term black, if black men, I'm gonna speak. I ain't gonna speak about Africa for me. I'm gonna speak about the diaspora. Black people of the diaspora, right? All of us, the ancestors of the plantations, because I don't see us as no different. I don't care if you're in North America, the Caribbean, Central America, they all my brothers. And what I'm saying is, when we start seeing ourselves as the same, when we go to do business with Africa or whoever, we call ourselves the goddamn grasshoppers. It will be respected. It's not
Oh,
respected because there's no power behind it because we don't unify under the fact that what I'm saying is I don't care if you're Jamaican or if you call yourself this. Was your are you descendants of the plantations? So am I. What's up, brother? Because my grandmama and your grandma would have been hugging, not fighting. So it ain't no reason for us to be fighting. I see you as the same as me. Now let's turn around and walk together. If we ain't
yeah.
doing
Okay,
that,
I got
then
that.
there's
I
no
got that.
power.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Okay. I got that. I got that. So these are the models I'm hearing. One is the diasporans, blacks, should identify with Africa, um, become members or citizens of Africa in order to become powerful, right? In order to leverage power, you've got to, so that's one model. So people say, right, okay, um, go to Africa somewhere and get yourself um, recognized as an African citizen, and then you can do business as an African citizen, and you'll have more leverage. All right, I understand. I understand that. Get African citizenship. All right. So how's that done? That's the question for that model. My model, I'm saying no. My model is the banking model. I'm saying that the bankers, they don't, they kind of float above the land. They don't anchor themselves on any particular land or any particular place. They're like floating entities. So
That's not true. That's not true. But I'm gonna let you keep going. I'll speak when you're done. That's not true.
I want to say something to that as well, like because I'm kind of hearing where you're beginning, and let me just say this, people. The link is in the chat. If you want to voice your opinion, the link is there. Jump on the panel. Come on, hit the like button. Share this out so more people can come into the conversation. But the link is in the chat for anybody that wants to jump on. If you're talking about building a society, yeah, it can't be based off the bank situation because that's capitalism.
oh, continue.
I'm just saying, on the basic premise, when you say that, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're creating another capitalist society. Because remember, before you can have proper trade and all of those types of situations be governed, again, we go back to there has to be a culture and a mind state, original mind state of understanding between you and your brothers before you understand again the value of a bank and you respect that banking authority. Do you understand?
I'm saying that respecting each other through having a shared and clear identity is the beginning of a shared value that becomes the foundation of the bank.
I think. Hey, can you hear me? Y'all hear me? I think you
Yeah.
make the fundamental mistake that you're making, brother, is that's I did a live stream. I did a live stream about 2 years ago, and I premiered it last week when Black Power was a global phenomenon. And I spoke about the different Black Power movements around the world because people look at Black Power, they just look to America. They don't look to Bermuda. They don't look to over there with Darkest Howe and what was going on over there. They don't look to Canada. They don't look to Australia. They don't look to New Zealand. You have Black Panthers and Black Power movements all over the world, right? And I'm saying that for a reason, right? If I take this, I'm not going to deal with Africa for a minute. I'm gonna deal with the Africans that was brought here and the Africans that was already here. Every right in America, every right that we got in America that's moved the world and everybody watched came from a unified thought of Black people from the Caribbean to North America. We was already together. We was already moving on one accord. Whether you had a Stokely Carmichael, I can go on and on and on, and name black people that was in the UK, the Scobies, and all of these people that understood who we were and fought to get us the rights that we have. We did this shit already. The bank is in the unification. I don't preach that we should, for me, right? I don't preach that we should go back to Africa today. I preach that we are our own tribe. The same way the Yoruba got 45 million and the Igbo, we are our own tribe here. We need to unify and then get Black people where we can have strength to produce for Black people here, and then go to Africa as a tribe and do
Unify
business
how?
and be a part.
Unify how?
I just told you. See, again, listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. Oh, wait. Listen, and I need you to listen before you respond. You said banking. Listen to what I'm telling you. The systems that we got in place right now for us to be in banking, for us to own teams, came from the unification of not just Black people in America, Black people of the diaspora. You had from Marcus Garvey on up. We were already
you're going too
unified.
fast. I'm missing it. You're saying too much information.
No, I'm not.
Unify
No, I'm
how?
not. No.
I can't. I'm missing it. What you're saying? Unify how? Don't tell me the history. Tell me how can we unify? Are you saying that we unified already? What? I'm missing it. I'm missing what you're saying.
Oh, he's dropped off. He'll be back on. His reception has dropped off. Listen, people, hit that link. Come on this panel. Where you at, brother minister? I see you in the chat. Yeah, jump on this thing. Brianna, yeah, come. What's going on? Frank, I see you switch over. What's going on? Can we still hear you?
Yeah. I'm still here. Can you hear me?
You got anything to add to the conversation, brother? You and Vic are kind of quiet right now. Let's hear you.
You know what it is. We see these conversations. Yeah, we tend to go around in circles sometimes, and
yes,
the same old kind of talking points and jargon.
That's why I don't like to have them, because we're not going nowhere. We're not going nowhere. I'm sorry. I don't say the last part for my phone drop. I'm sorry. We're not going nowhere. All I'm saying is, when I listen to people talk, I know that people don't know history. What I'm saying is, also on this phone right now, every last one of us, right? We are all representation of the fight of our grandparents. And I want people to know, fucking Black Americans wasn't alone in the marches. You had Jamaicans, Trinidadians. Listen, the Jamaicans and Trinidadians that went to the UK, you had Africans that came to America and studied here at fucking Cheney. We already had a unified thought. Everything that we got today came from a unified thought.
And so?
And what I'm telling you is the groundwork has already been fucking laid.
Yes, and so what now?
So what I'm saying, we have to take what we know and work with a unified thought would come with the minds of people that know and provide. See, what you need to understand is you don't need everybody to wake up. Only the small
Okay.
percentage of people, controls the majority. So if black
Okay.
people, the ones that's woke, begins to provide for black folks, and like I said, when you put that energy out, you can call yourself whatever you want because black people will follow when you can feed them. 90% of white people are deaf, dumb, and blind and sleep. They're controlled by the elite whites that tell them what to do, that provide opportunities for them.
And
When you see those black people marching, we should overcome. A lot of them couldn't even read. They was following the black leadership. So
okay.
what you need is black leadership across the diaspora saying this is how we're going to move. And guess what? Our ancestors did
Okay.
it without
And
no, listen. See, this is what I'm saying. You're being condescending. This is why I don't like talking to niggas like you because we don't get nowhere. You ain't listening to shit I'm saying.
I'm listening to what I can hear you.
No, listen. Okay, and you're not listening to what I'm saying. Watch this, Richie. We got social media today, Richie. Richie, we got social media. Our grandparents didn't have it. They still was able to create global phenomenons to get us where we at. We got social media now that they didn't have, where we can begin to move. We ain't got no excuses. We wasting time on here. We ain't got no fucking excuses. We got every fucking instrument we need to wake up the deaf, dumb, and blind or begin to move the trajectory. We ain't like all this shit about a plan. All of us already know what we need to be doing. So we can be moving now. Yes.
How do you know we all know what we need to be doing? How do you know? And who's the we?
It's a large percentage of us that already
large
understand.
percentage.
Yes, it is. Yes. I don't know about what you might be doing over there.
A large percentage of us already know what we ought to be doing.
I'm gonna tell you the problem though. I'm gonna tell you the problem. There's a lot of black people that know what we're supposed to be doing, but a lot of them are moving in fear because black people have a Jesus complex. They waiting for a savior to come save them so they can display their talents. You got a lot of black people in the UK and America that got skill sets and know-how, but they won't stand up because they're afraid because they're afraid of the backlash.
No, that's true. That's true.
Right. So the problem is, okay, good. I got your point. They can do it, but they're too scared. That's the problem. So, how do we deal with this fear?
The ones that's in the know,
I understood what you said. Yes, we have the problem.
I'm saying, hold on. I'm saying it's simple, yeah. The same way you don't have an option to follow what you're following now, as we've said, we're in a prison, so you just have to take what's given. Yeah, it's the same way. That to me is the only way in the diaspora, anyway, that people's gonna have to realize themselves, and that's the final cog in the machine to make people move when there's no other options. Because all the ridicule, the backlash, that still suggests that you've got options. That still suggests that you can be named and shamed. They can put you in Facebook jail. When they've shut this YouTube shit down on a hard one, as they're doing right now anyway, when they're shutting off your account, or when your social media is directly connected to your job now, and all of these kinds of ways, and there's no options, or when there's only digital money, and now if you don't conform to the system, you can't eat. That's the only time when these conversations now will take on a next life of its own. And it won't be on a platform. You understand? It will be in a way where man will have to fire up themselves. Yeah.
Right, so we have to wait until our back is against the wall. Then
Agenda 21.
That's what's needed right now, because we're in a society where there's too many options. As I said, a lot of people can say, "Yeah, nah, you know what? Fuck what them man are talking about. Let's Netflix and chill. Let's watch whatever. Let's do whatever. I can still go down the road." Remember this is what I was saying at the beginning of this conversation. There's a marked difference between having this conversation about trusting the government and how, and I'm not going to say for everyone, because there's certain people on the panel I know have been fired up on these issues from day dot. So I'm not going to drench anyone's fire as of now, but I know these conversations are happening more now only because people are sitting in their house with
Right.
nothing to do but think about these things now. So
Right.
it's becoming more apparent to people because, again, those options of you going out, going to do something else as a distraction,
Exactly. Off the
being
table.
taken away now.
Off the table.
Right. So
Right.
now they're gone. Now these conversations become real. But that's why I asked at the beginning, if you take away this COVID thing again, yeah, how much do we really trust the government on autopilot or just do without complaining? Let's take out the word trust. Let's just say, let's just engage with these systems and don't question them, whether it's the school system, yeah, whether it's the medical system, whether it's your monetary system. Yeah, in normal times, most people ain't questioning these things. But again, because we've got a heightened sense of urgency now, because the pressure's on, now the conversation becomes real. So to me, in this society, when I'm looking at them, that to me is the missing cog. You aren't under enough pressure. When you're under enough pressure, that's when you're going to know yourself, innit?
Okay, so what should we do in the time between when our back is against the wall? So our back is not against the wall at the moment. So is there anything that we should be doing now in preparing for the time when our back will be against the wall?
Yeah,
well, that's when we're talking about having a community of people, like-minded individuals coming together and again getting ahead of the curve, beginning
now?
to form up
Or later?
From now. No, from now. Those who know and who are aware will move. Remember, look, if we're talking about levels of consciousness, it runs different for everybody. My level of consciousness may not be the level of George, may not be the level of Vic, may not be the level of... We're all on different stages, isn't it? So again, all you can do is try to, if we're talking about nation building and these kinds of subjects, find individuals of like-mindedness, and get into the situation, with them and try to build what we can. As far as the mass revolution goes, as you're saying, and as I'm saying, I don't think the pressure's on enough. It's coming. It's definitely coming. For people to understand, again, for people to get the truth, for people to get the true nature of the situation, again, there has to be no option for blinkers. You have to be confronted with the absolute truth and done the long thing. You understand? This is where
Can we
we're
all
at.
agree on that?
Yeah, definitely.
Can all of us here agree on that?
Yes.
What's going on, DC?
Yeah.
Chilling, man. How you doing, man? Sorry.
Who's that? DC Brand?
Yeah.
Mason.
Yeah,
Reparation Mason.
Yeah, like again, as I said, the mass movement pressure needs to be applied. But as I said, that's the path of more resistance. So you're going to get a lot more people second guessing themselves, and
Yeah, but let me just chime in
them-
on that. I mean, Rich, yeah, you're talking about pressure. Yeah, pressure. I mean, if whatever situation we're in now is not acting as a form of a pressure to anyone, I mean, I don't know what else would. You know what I'm saying to you? Because we have lost a lot of our rights in the moment, like since we've been in this lockdown over in this part of the world. So I'm saying to you, a lot of things have gone. You know what I'm saying to you? We can't do most things that we used to do. So to me, in itself, that is pressure already. You know what I'm saying to you? So, like you said, you're right.
It enough?
You can't just wait around for it to get any worse than what it is now. Do you know what I'm saying to you? Then you'd be losing start sort of thing. You know what I'm saying to you? So it's got to start now. We have to organize, and do it now. There are all organizations out.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to organize.
We have to organize. Right.
Yes.
And I'm saying we cannot effectively organize until we unify on a set identity.
Bro, let me tell you something. There's a model that's been used. If you want to organize, for instance, on the economical level, there's been a model. There's a cooperative union that's been set up by a group of people in Spain called the Mondragons. And that cooperative model is one of the best ones in the entire world. It's just a community of like-minded people got together, who had values and ethics that they share within nature. Because what they've done, they went back to nature. You know what I'm saying to you? Because that's the only thing that we can go back to that is real and tangible. Do you know what I'm saying to you? There's no lie in that. So they've built a model around that. Yeah. Now you can look it up. It's called the Mondragon. It's a cooperative union, and they are one of the richest community.
Do they all live
in the
together?
world. They all live together.
Wait a minute.
It's a massive.
How does that community
Huh?
work?
But I feel like there's one thing I think we need to. I think we kind of overcomplicate it though.
Yeah, it's a cooperative model where we can adopt that. Now we can adopt a lot of organizations in the UK, America. They can all adopt that model to be kind of one big cooperative. You know what I'm saying? Union model. Yeah. Irrespective of whatever dominations we're from or whatever identity we find ourselves. This is about economically getting together, and for the betterment of us. Do you know what I'm saying to you? And like I said, that's one example. Pardon?
Can you give us a summary of what they do, of what's so special about them? Can you give us a quick summary?
Right. Do you understand what a cooperative is?
Well, I'd like to know what's so special about this cooperative. What's so special about these people? What are they doing that's so special? That's so different?
They've got their own economy. They have their own economy. They've got their own institutions. Yeah, through the cooperative.
Oh, like a commune.
They have their own schools, their own universities.
They're a commune.
Their own hospitals. Pardon?
Are they all living together in a big commune? Are they all living together in the same piece of land?
They are called the Mondragons. The Mondragons Cooperative Union.
Yeah, but give us a quick. You said that already. Are they living together in the same piece of land?
No, hold on,
they
man.
are.
Hold on, man. You know I noticed something, Richie. I noticed something. All right, look, because the brother is talking about the banking, right? I wish we could. Hey, Richie, can we all mute up for 5 minutes and let him lay out his plan, his elaborate plan? Let's just listen to his elaborate plan from top to bottom.
He creates a bank. That's not that hard to understand. But IC3's plan is not that hard to understand. He's creating a bank.
No, but what I'm saying is he's listening and judging and jury. Let's mute up and let's listen to his. Let's put your plan on the projector screen and let's look at it. Like, lay it out, brother.
Hold on. Before we get to that, DC, I know you just come in. So, like, say what you guys say. We're talking again. You see the title. I don't know whether you know. It's like talking about governments and do we trust them, and then we're talking about what do we need to obviously get out of this situation in the diasporan countries, and that's where we're kind of at. Obviously, IC3 already. You know his position on the banking, the reparations, etc. We've put forward that again, you need to have a shared value system for one another, meaning your fellow brothers and sisters, wherever they are in the world. First of all, that has to be in place. Then you can build codes, which then lead to, organizations, institutions, which again, one of them would be a banking system. But I contest that you can't, if you look to build a whole society off of the cornerstone, which is the bank, only or as the first, then that to me on the basic premise sounds a bit capitalistic. That's where it was kind of at. But now you add your piece and then we'll continue with the conversation.
I personally, we have to look at, like, I'm gonna be real. One thing I hate about my community, the one thing I hate about, like, right now, I feel like my generation of African Americans, we are the dumbest and we are the weakest. Our ancestors would go to a plot of land, pay for it, chop down the wood and build their own house. Didn't ask for a damn thing from anyone. The church would be the marketplace, the bank, the meeting hall, the place of worship. When we had the Chitlin circuit. So, like, when artists need to pop, before they made it big league, they used to go perform at various black towns and would just be in the church and probably sleep in the church basement and eat there. You know what I mean? Like, we were self-sufficient, and capitalism works. I believe that we should have, like, capitalism in a sense works. This is how you play the game. The greatest mistake white people made in this world was providing an open market and then having that open market be dependent on two things: work labor, management of that work labor, and the money that it can make. That is the greatest mistake. The white man has literally taught us how you want to destroy me? Fine. This is how you do it. You take over various aspects of my country. You use nepotism to make sure people of your race maintains those aspects. Hold me hostage. I personally say, especially with the Afro-Caribbeans aren't living up to their name right now, because like African Americans used to be railroaded because white people were kidnapping Jamaicans because of their agricultural skills. So we should be controlling the food markets of like the West. Especially your country. Your country's
Let me say something, DC. Let me ask you
yeah.
something. You see, when we say capitalism, one of
Yeah.
the things to me why the westernized form of capitalism doesn't work, because again, there's no regulation. I can make a product, I can charge
We
50
created
times
capitalism.
worth 50 times worth the value of the thing
I got echo.
with no form of regulatory, form on me. And again, it will always end the same, where a set few people will end up controlling certain markets and done. So
And that's what we
when
want.
you
Yeah.
say capitalism, do you envisage those type of things being regulated strictly?
Well, the only thing capitalism needs is balance and complete taxation across the board. So that means that if you make over 100,000, you get taxed this regardless. There should be no wiggle room for that. Once you provide proper taxation across the board, because there's a working model of it. We look at the FDR days, the Eisenhower days, the time in America where everyone was taxed across the board regardless of income, and they were taxed at a certain variation. The country was able to produce and grow. Black Americans, Africans of the diaspora have that proper visual education that because like, let's be real, what stops most African countries? One thing, not illiteracy, because I've met architects, I have met the head of department of agriculture for Nigeria. The guy got a botany degree from he got his master's in botany from Harvard. He knows what he's talking about. But if I came to him with $1 million and say, oh yeah, I want to build this fish farm, here's 50,000 of it, here's 50,000 or 500,000 for yourself. The farm doesn't have to be built because he just got paid, and I can just shrug off. So corruption's the one thing that we could see. But in Western countries, capitalism just needs proper taxation. You want someone to control the market, especially for us. If we want to bring down Babylon is giving you sectors, just like the traditional Babylon. Babylon had sections where if you were proficient in the empire, you didn't have to be original Babylonian. You were part of the empire at that point. We can do that. We can take over those. Like, for example, in America, Black Americans can take over a state and say this will be a sanctuary state. So now every African, every Afro-Caribbean that comes from the continent or come from the Caribbean wants to have a state like the Hispanics do in Florida and California. We can do here. There's like a lot of, like, I'm telling you, the only weakness of capitalism is that proper taxation.
Do you believe, honestly, that just under the guise of the current laws that are laid out from the USA to UK, that Black people could use those laws and get a proper foothold? Do you think white people, based on the evidence of how they act, would relinquish certain sets of power like that?
They wouldn't be able to stop it. Not right now. Like, for example, one thing Brexit, and I've been studying Brexit. So the only benefit Brexit has is that the Britain has kind of have more control of its fish markets in a sense. But still, for the next 5 years, the Dutch can still take up, I think it was a quarter of the market. And then on top of that, another 50% of the overall fishing market is still reliant upon European sales. So and then on top of that, like, the companies that they were trying to kick out still have reign to be there for the next 5 years. There's an advancement in fishing that if a Black person, like a couple of Black men, can open up a warehouse, get about close to, say, about a couple of 1,000 tons of saltwater, livable water for fish, breed up to 100,000 fish, only hire Black men, and they'd have the whole community now dependent on that fishing market because they can feed up to about 100,000 people. So you open up 10 of those, that's 1 million people being fed. And then you just grow from there. The agricultural market right now can be controlled by Black people. The technology market can be controlled by a race of people. The Chinese are in charge of global manufacturing. Indians are leading in technology right now. Google, Microsoft, Oracle, the top Apple. For example, one model I would say we take from the Chinese.
Hold on, brother. You see all those countries you just mentioned, they're all intact. See, we talked about this earlier on in the conversation before you came on, and I mentioned this, that part of having power in the diaspora for those other groups is connected to the fact that they're connected to a bigger, larger entity. The Chinese in America, the Indian in America, and here in the UK, wherever, they're connected clearly to their origin countries. Whereas black people, we're trying to claim a fake heritage to a country that's never really accepted you. And the place that is financing your whole lifestyle in the West, that's the place that they're telling you don't connect with, don't have a relationship with. So I'm
Well,
saying,
can I ask you this thing, Richie? Brother, can I ask you this question? Because the one thing is, the misconception about the West is that it's owned by one group of people. Okay, that's the greatest mind trick they played on us. If you are a descendant of the Windrush, if you are a descendant of the colonies, especially in the West Indies, where the British Empire in its highest point was relied on the sugarcane, was relied on the produce that came out of the Caribbean alone, you are the creator of this country. You are one of the board members of this country. Your equity may not be respected, your ownership may not be viewed by the masses, but doesn't mean it's not valid. That's like kind of a continental African said, I met a Yoruba 3 days ago that said, you're not Yoruba because you don't know the language.
But let me step in with that being said. Hey, brother, where you from, brother? Respectfully. My name's George Macon. Now, where you from, brother?
Wait, you're the George Macon?
Yeah, I'm George Macon.
How you doing, man? Hey, yo, big up to you, man. We kind of have the same makeup, African, Native American. We kind of have the same thing.
Yeah.
You've been around, man. You've been around. I live right outside DC. I live in PG County.
Oh, PG County. Yeah. You from what you Dominican, African American or something? I was trying to find your background.
African American. ADOS.
Okay, in the US. Yeah. See, the thing is, like, we know that we built it. And those arguments been on the table for over 100 years. The thing is, what I was telling brothers is this thing is psychological. Black people,
that's what I was saying.
Black people was given the illusion of inclusion and let in. See, we built everything early on because we had no choice but to build it because they was hanging us wholesale. So we had no choice but to be married. So what the white man did was get smart after the Black Power Revolution. He flooded the communities with heroin and said, let these niggas get in. Get these niggas false hope and false opportunities, and they would never trust each other again. And that's what they've done. And that's why we walk around with the Freddy Krueger effect. When we talk this way, people look at you like you got 7 heads. So what I'm trying to tell people is the black community is already efficient in skill sets because we do everything. What the black community needs is proper leadership. Brother Richie said something that was paramount. He said that the people from India and these other countries come here already with a nation behind them with intact culture. People like us that are on these streams now, in 2021, with all the technology we got, if Marcus Garvey could build what he built without the technology, if the Black Panthers can create a global phenomenon without the technology, with the technology we got today, it's up to us to create think tanks and begin to influence our people.
Lobbyist groups and think tanks. That's literally all I see it. I see it's like I don't view America as my home. I view it as a bank. I view it as a mall. Like it's my trust fund.
Right.
But you know what I view America as? You know what I view America as? As a landmass that's a dumping ground where other countries dump goods off to be consumed, and then other groups come in to compete. They come here to compete. So now what I'm telling black people here in America is you got to get together and compete. So what the white man did was to stop when you got Caribbean blacks, North American blacks, Africans, if they come in, if they unify, they'll outnumber us. So keep them niggas separate and make them see each other's different. So and that's what I'm trying to say. Like, listen, everybody's competing and vying for each other. But I'm reminding black people that, listen, Caribbean blacks and African American blacks fought for this shit. Don't get it fucked up. We wasn't separate. They telling us we separate now. I don't subscribe to that because I know the history. So what I'm saying is we gotta come together. We gotta unify. But it's gonna take a minor few to create the consciousness to unify the people. Everybody don't need to be white.
And Brother Macon, that's literally, if you read a book, there's a book called How Europeans Rule the World. That's all they did was the smart and intelligent got together and said, hey, we need we need, hey, you're not, they took the Ray Ray and Pookies and said, hey, listen, here's a gun. Go to Congo, guard this mine for me. Hey, here's a gun. Go to Caribbean, manage this. So it's like we could do the same thing. It's just like, I mean, forgive the term. It's kind of the Masonic way of getting things done. The intelligence leads the dummy.
When
And
you know what that word Masonic means,
who are the we?
No apology needed, bro. When it's
The
used in the
we is us. I'm sorry, Richie, but he said, "Who are the we?" The we is us, Negro. It's us.
Yeah.
You see, you got a lot of black people. I'm sorry,
Us,
Richie.
who are the us?
Us, you,
It's
me,
not tight enough.
those of us around the world that's having these conversations.
Not tight enough.
But not you.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry, not you. I'm sorry, not you. But other
Not
people.
tight
I'm
enough
sorry,
for
not you.
organization. Can't operate
Yeah,
like
not
that.
you.
Talk to the Masons; they'll tell you.
Yeah, but here's the
again,
thing, though.
like I said,
This what I'm
Talk to
saying.
the
If we do the
Masons.
Mason, if you want it, that's what I'm saying. If we can do it the Masons way, but understand the Masons don't waste their time on like the us and the we. Is the what? What are you going to do? How are we going to do it? When are we going to get it done? You know what I
Right.
mean? That's really it. So like if you're part, like for example, you have the Shriners. The Shriners are just Masons that are primarily Muslims and Moors, primarily, and then they kind of come in together. Well, all Muslims actually. They come together and they'll work together to get a goal done, regardless.
They're in order.
If we want to
That's
really,
right.
if we want to
If
build
we're
something,
gonna
like
talk
for
about
example,
Masons, hold on, we're gonna talk about Masons and that kind of thing. Yeah, as an example, we gotta keep it African. Like, let's
Gotta
just
keep it what?
yeah, I'm saying
keep
Prince Hall,
it
Prince Hall.
African model.
Yeah, I said Prince. We could do Prince Hall.
Masonry. So the people that are listening, don't get confused, don't get twisted. Because again, I'm all for these conversations, because when you truly know what the system is and what it's built on, same thing as you comprehend words like Masonic and certain things, then you're not going to run from them words. You're going to understand them and use them appropriately. But when we're talking about, that's why I'm just saying that we need to be clear for the listening people what we're talking about and the model in which we're talking about. Because again, the Freemasonry that most people know of goes back to that 1% are controlling the mass, in the sense of the maniacally. You understand? Overview, you're controlling everybody like a puppet. So we have to be clear on the Freemason idea of a group of people with skill sets coming together to work out the best way to govern the situation.
And regardless of what, you always gonna have a group of people that's gonna control the masses. People are always gonna be sheep. The only thing is,
Listen, there'll always be a government.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you're saying, Richie. Only thing I'm saying is those. I mean, we need a system. Those that's in power is just not wicked. But like you always gonna have to see. What I'm saying is, I learned this a long time ago. Some people's gonna be the CEO. Some people's gonna control dispatch. Some people gonna drive the trucks. Some people gonna do the court work. So what I'm saying is, you got a lot of black people with skill sets, but they don't want to be leaders. They don't want to stand up and take all the blows or be martyred. They waiting for leadership. So what I'm saying is this, right? Then you got black people that see white supremacy and they see it never falling, so they'll sell you out and act like they speak for you. But they'll sell you down. Yeah, they'll sell you down the river. So the thing is,
we know
what
that.
I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. I ain't talking to you no more. This is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. This is all I'm saying. with 2021, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna say this and I'm done because Rich, I gotta jump off because my life just came up. That's all I'm saying, brothers. In 2021, if we know for a fact that black people before us created movements, we don't have to keep sitting around comparing ourselves to other groups saying how. We just got to get out here and do it. Do it in small groups. And then, like I'll give you an example. I created my movement, Urban Knitters, right? I said, Richie, give me a year or two. I'm going to be in the UK. We start creating think tanks and movements where people want to be a part of it. We got to start doing something. But it starts grassroots with us. You'd be surprised how you think the Black Panthers ever thought that thing was going to go the way it did. That shit started on a block in the alleyway in Oakland. So no, man, like you be like it got to start somewhere. So as long as you got dudes with white man's mind, how, where? To me, you sound like the white man is your God. I don't even want to talk to that nigga. Not in 2021. I want to talk to somebody when I put it out. I want to talk to somebody. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I want to talk to a black man. When we put it out there, he get excited and say, "Let's go,
All
let's
right.
go," because that's the only way you're gonna create the energy. Because, like
All
I
right.
said, this
Yeah.
listen, bro. This what you see today that we're under wasn't always here. It started with an imagination and an idea, and that's where you got to start it from.
Okay.
Listen,
We'll see.
I'm saying
Let's
this.
go. Let's go.
I'm gonna bring you in after this, yeah. And Frank, you say what you need to say as well. Listen, this is what I'm trying to say. That enthusiasm that man's talking about, when we apply it to nation building,
Yes.
that comes from that love of thinking you're included, like you're building something for your generations. Now, for me, when I saw black people doing that in the diaspora, it's because they had either recently come out of slavery, yeah, as points of history. So they now were trying to become empowered and they were promised again a part of that land. Yeah. So again, that natural patriotism was there in the beginning for them to drive, build communities, build Black Wall Streets, do what they needed to do. You understand? The same thing with the UK. At one point, there was a thriving community that was willing to participate because at that time they were sold on the fact that they thought they were investing in a country that they were going to be accepted in, and generationally their kids and kids of kids was going to be fine.
Right. Okay.
That's gone away now. Yeah, that's gone away. So this is why I'm saying, is it not a prerequisite of trying to be revolutionary that we need to have connection to a land mass?
Okay.
No.
Because when we're
Can I address
talking
that?
about this patriotism, and remember, we're staying in the nation building mind
Yes.
state
Yeah.
of government in the full sense, army, security, all of the facets that go with government, but
Yes.
having people with the heart and the drive, like George was saying, that want to do it. You're not going to get that reaction, or when we're talking about the problem here, we're not getting that reaction because nobody's had a visual aid or any sort of thought in a long time to even feeling like they're inclusive in the land that they're in the diaspora. So when you start to talk about not businesses, not individual businesses now, not small body organizations, but institutions, this is where the energy gets sucked out the room because nobody feels that much invested in the country that they're in to really push it to that level. Am I right or wrong?
Okay.
Everybody
No, you're
give
right.
me. I'll be
What do you think
quiet.
of this? What do you think of this? Listen to your point, your model. There's two models here I see, and these two models we can discuss in more detail. Right. So it's like as above, so below. So your model, in contrast to I'm going to try and contrast the two models so you can see the difference in the discussion. Right. So I understand your model to be that you have to be connected to a land mass, and it's best to be a citizen or recognized as a citizen of a country or nation that already exists. So the diaspora, or as many as possible, should go back to Africa, make connections with people in Africa, and then be recognized as African citizens, so that when they speak and when they present themselves, they say, I am a representative. I belong to this nation. I am an African, and I've now have my citizenship, and I'm a representative of this nation. And that you want to build, having that infrastructure, you want to build from that model. I understand that. Land first, citizenship first, Yes, that's a land first, citizenship first model. Build from there. That's what I understand your model to be. I'm saying no. I'm saying that the model I'm proposing is that it's a government in exile. That means you organize and run the government and behave as a government, and then the land will come afterwards. So your model is land first. My model is government first, and then you can find a place and take land. And
Now,
the
Brothers,
reason
I ain't gonna
I'm
lie,
saying
bro.
that,
I feel like we're skipping a very, very easy middle ground here
yeah,
to
let me
achieve
finish
the
that.
two
Yeah,
models.
let me
Yeah,
finish off.
go
Then you
ahead.
come with your one. You
Yeah.
come with your model. So let me finish my model. I understood. Um, Black Eyes TV's model is land first, become a citizen of a nation. I understand that model. My model is no, exact opposite. Um, create a government, operate as a government, then get the land afterwards. And the model that I'm using is that example is that during the Second World War, when the Germans came in and occupied France, all the French government and leadership, they ran off to England because France was occupied, and so they ran off to England, and then they set up a French government and operated as a French government in exile while in Britain. And then after the war was finished, they just moved their entire government back to France.
right.
So do you
But
understand
there
my
was an
position?
understanding between England and France. So,
Sorry?
what understanding do we have in the diaspora with the UK, or the US government in order to have a functioning government? Because
Or
again, it's not
Africa.
going to be well. Let's go with the IC3. That remember we're a government in exile. So let's
Yes.
just deal with us in the diaspora, us in the UK, us in the USA, and we're saying, look, we want to be free. So as he said, we need this government to be set up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, I'm assuming you're not looking for any
Good.
recognition from white people, right? In order to set up this government or do anything.
No. I'll be doing a deal with white people.
Right. So I'm going to ask
Yeah.
you then, how realistic do you think it is that they're going to let you set up a government in exile with no land? Because remember, when you gave that France example, they actually came from a land. Even though you're saying the government comes before the land, they actually had a land, which is why they had power to say, look, our land is under siege. Let's come here, take a respite, regather ourselves, reshuffle. But
That's
ultimately, whatever our deal is with the English, we can work a deal because we've got land, we've got trade. It might be in turmoil, but that's already existing. So you see what I'm saying about we can't really get out of the land or stuff having.
May I, if I could, just to be the middle guy here? I think I don't think neither one matters because if you get the land, if you have the land, you're going to have a government. Like it's going to be like the first thing you'll need to govern the land. And if you have a government, it's useless. I mean, like to be real, like we can establish a government right now, like right now. IC3, you're in charge of finance. Richie, you're in charge of the president. I'm in charge of defense. We can do that right now. There's no need to.
But finish
separate.
what you was gonna say. But it's useless without a land or what we govern.
That's what I'm saying. Like it'll be useless without a land because if you don't, if you have a government and we're citizens, we're already citizens of in already countries. So to establish a government would go against. But then again, there is something known as the micronation.
Well,
we can use the micronation clause. We can use the micronation clause.
Well, go ahead. Let's hear how you see that. How that just
The
appeared.
micronation clause. The micronation clause are just okay. So we have our own government, but we're like kind of like a territory until we declare independence. So that would mean that we could set up a government, but our independence will come when we get our own land. So you can set up a government without land.
But you see what the killer is. Territory by default is still land. So again, you're still gonna need that
No. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Right now, your room, your house. If we use the micronation, if we declare ourselves a micronation, right? We don't need a land at that point. It's just the property we own could be that land. Like for example, that's why I want to talk. That's why I'm trying to talk to Uncle about this afterwards. There is a mini nation that's African, that's Yoruba led, known as the Oyatanya village in South Carolina, and it has a king. It has a lineage. It has, it's its own piece of land. Now it doesn't, its laws doesn't supersede, but it's its own territory, and it can add to it. It can buy more land and extend its territory. It has its own government.
Yeah, but again,
and before it started, it was in New Jersey. Before it started,
the key
that's what I'm saying. It started out in a church, and it started out like in a church in Detroit, and then it grew to become what it is now. So I'm saying either way, you can have a government without land, but you can have
but you still attached it to a bigger source of people. From you said it's Nigerian and da. It that then by default gives it a greater body of people of support. So again, it gives it more weight. That's my point.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just only trying to be the middleman in that. But yeah, I get you.
No, I know. Look, we're spitballing right now. This is
yeah.
We're talking about possible working models and how realistic it is. Because again, we talk about.
I have a working. If you want to see, because I did it in college. It was known as the GAP, the Global African Plan for the Diasporans, and it required more diasporans relying on the Caribbean as a nation. African-dominated Caribbean and South American nations will, like Grenada, consolidate their currency and create a central bank known as the West Indies Bank. The West Indies Bank will allow, the first thing is everyone that opens up, that becomes a citizen in a various, what I would say, African diasporan dominated Caribbean country will get granted automatic citizenship and a membership to that banking system. That's why I think I've always was interested in what IC3 was saying, was because it tied into that. From there, we form a government that will allow us to utilize things like, for example, African Americans built the nation Liberia. So a dual citizenship with that nation would help. And also the only thing we would negotiate with our current countries is that we do not lose or rescind our citizenships with the UK, US, or European countries, whoever, Africans around the world do not, rescind that citizenship. So not only will we have a citizenship on the African continent, but when you centralize all the dollar, the pound, the franc, the euro into one central bank, into one nation, and then we can advocate to be part of the AU. The moment we get part of the AU, think how many African-dominated Caribbean countries are there that can now push a narrative? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my plan, is that like we work on a small level, a lobbyist level, like Mr. Macon, like Brother Macon said. We don't need thousands of people. We just need thousands of dollars, just to simply funnel in a policy that would allow diasporans, especially Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Americans, to have citizenship to one Black-owned nation, or Black-dominated nation.
The problem is with what you're saying, and some of it is viable. I'm not writing off the whole thing, because some of what you just said was viable. But my continuing problem when I hear and have these conversations, and we are going to wrap this up shortly, because I don't want it to go on too long. We'll come back next Tuesday again for another one. But my thing is this, is that, again, we already established we can't trust the government. We've already established the history of the place that we live in. So whenever we're talking about creating deals or arrangements, there has to be an ongoing situation that either they see as beneficial to themselves in some way, or they're forced into.
But that's a fallacy, I think, in a sense, because what we're doing
No,
is we're associating the
it's not a
government.
fallacy.
We're taking
That's
the
what
historical government. We're taking the historical nature of our governments, of the governments of our two nations, and comparing them together. Like we're not doing that anymore. We can't look at, like, I can't look at the US government from 1960 and look at the one today and say they're the same. The government in 1960 only had to worry about Native Americans and blacks. The government today has to deal with Latinos, Asians, Middle Easterners. You understand? Like distinct groups because of the idea of race in the Americas, in America, the white dominance of America, because also geopolitically, we have to also understand that there's a generation of white people that in the next 40 years, geopolitically, white people will not have power. They cannot. They cannot maintain the power because they do not have the population to maintain power. That's why I say a lot of stuff we push through will become
But that's why they
very.
come with the illusion of inclusion. But
No,
the
but
truth of
that's what I'm
look,
saying.
the
If we already
look,
know,
remember,
yeah,
America is built on immigration. It's built
yes,
on people coming from other places around the world and making it where it is, right?
but the
But
illusion of
again,
inclusion does not have to do with policy. Wasn't political. It
no.
wasn't. It
But
was
hold
sorry. It
up. The
wasn't.
basis
Yeah.
still comes down to the base fact that you're still dealing with people that are coming from other countries with
Yeah.
masses of people that have their own government, that have their own trade, that have their own policies running, armies, and all of these situations, education. So there's a premise for them to have to deal with those people. The reason
Yeah, but
why
that's what
we're
I'm saying. What I'm talking about
disenfranchised,
doing, if we're talking
the
about
reason
nation
why
building,
hold up, the reason why we're
uh-huh.
disenfranchised and the reason why we're having this conversation of do we even trust the government and whatever, again, is based on the fact that we don't have any connection. Most of us don't have that proper
And that's what I'm
connection
talking. That's what I'm
with our
saying, Richie.
African
Richie,
brothers and sisters.
I'm addressing that issue. That was the whole point of what me bringing it up, was to address that issue. If we do not have, like, I was trying to simply show you that that what you and IC3 wanted can be achieved both ways. It's just we have to either address it we have to address it in a very, we have to look at it very, like, for example, my friend had the idea of doing the most American thing possible, pick a country that's like too unorganized to function in Africa, politically take over it and make it a powerhouse. That was his solution. He was talking about Libya at the time because of what's happening with Gaddafi. He was talking about a country as small as Tunisia. He was talking about, if we take a North African country, then European nations will start paying us to keep immigrants from coming in from Africa. You know what I mean? Like he had it written down to that point. What I'm saying doing is not, when I say we look towards the Caribbean, we're talking about a landmass. We're talking about an island that's not connected, that cannot be easily invaded right now. Because the worries of white Americans, the worries of the white man is the Chinese man, the Middle Easterner, the Russian. It's not about just Africans anymore. Like, black people are not the sole focus of white people anymore. That's why my grandmother, before she died at 105, she said, the thing that the African American, or the thing that the black man has to deal with today, is his local government, no longer his federal, because his federal government is focused on so many other enemies now. It has exhausted him. It has exhausted themselves onto other things. We don't have to look at that.
The majority of the westernized culture exists off of African materials. So
yes, but we have. That's what I'm. But you understand what I'm saying, though.
As the basic connection, like, that's why when you're saying deal with local, it's kind of like, that's kind of a misnomer for me, because
if you have a base, we need a base.
You can spin your wheels locally, and I'm not saying.
Yeah, but we need our base, though. We need a base, though. That's what I'm saying. We're trying. No. See, the thing I really,
This is what I'll say.
No,
I don't want to kill this, because this is a whole nother subject. So I don't want to.
Oh no, I'm not. Trust me. There's no combative nature or anything. We're just passionate.
But
we're just passionate.
I want to say that earlier on in the conversation, again, we talked slightly about this level of politics before you came, and we kind of talked about the local government situation, and that is a strong base to work from, because your community is your immediate surroundings. So I'm with you on that. But What we've also analyzed in this conversation before we came on, and we're going to talk about right now, is the fact that, again, there's a point where after you spin your wheels and try to create a certain scenario, you always have to send off your best and brightest leaders off to that federal or next level to try to get certain things done for the community, especially if you're talking about on a wider level now. Because remember, we're used to the drip drops. We're used to, a couple hundred over here, get something, couple thousand over there, get something, but never in the mass. And America, here in England, we're less than 2%, of the whole population. So they can quietly ignore a lot of our needs and, treat us a certain way because we kind of meld in. In America, you've got a certain amount that can cause a problem. So they have to create laws and wholesale ways of subjugating you, man, and creating economic traps for your money and all sorts to keep you in.
Richie, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you, but when I use the statement of local government, I was trying to say that the importance of what the resources that the white man had in the 60s and 50s and 40s, he does not have anymore to subjugate the black man like he used to. What we can focus on as a people right now is the fact that we live in a time period right now where Africans are starting to make their own narrative that the fat bellies and flies in the eyes is just TV propaganda. It's not an actual fact. There are major cities, major investment opportunities that the Western world need. That if Africa said no more exports to America, France, Britain, Germany, in Western Europe, everything West Berlin, they would have to be, these countries would fail. My only point is that to talk about nation building, if we want to be a people that's going to be serious, we have to think, okay, there's a lot of dysfunctional, the word third world. We are first world citizens educated in the first world. So our viewpoint on politics will be different than most other people. So when we look at things like, okay, we would think that like, all right, maybe we have a capitalist market, but a socialistic government where it's like, you're not going to be able to, you're going to have a company that makes $1 billion, but that $1 billion company is going to have to pay taxes. You understand? Like these are things that we can perfect. My whole point is, and my whole plan was to create an environment where if we took a Caribbean island, all right, and made it a place for us, like made it a home for us, and then like made it a place where you make an offer. Because see, think about a bank. A bank comes with investment options. Like, oh yeah, you open up your account with us, you can sign away your permission, and we will invest in an S&P 500 index for you. So that means we're going to take a portion of your monthly earnings and put it in the stock market for you, and we'll manage it for you. And if you want to, if we believe there's an opportunity you should sell, we'll tell you. We won't do anything without your permission. That is an option that is usually given that encourages people to come into a bank. Now, picture being able to join a bank that when you join, you get a whole citizenship. That means the taxes you would have faced in the West, you don't have to face in this country anymore. We have lower taxes. We have lower corporate taxes as long as you keep your money in your bank. Then all we have to do is take that money we get, invest in a lobbyist group. A lobbyist group would then go to your MPs, my senators and congressmen, and advocate for banks getting incentives for giving low interest loans to start Black businesses. So now we're not only are we generating Black wealth, but we're now centralizing our dollar to one section. That's the first thing. Secondly, we're putting in essentially we're controlling our dollar. Then we're encouraging our business market, which means that now, because the thing is, I can especially say me from my college upbringing, I went to a historical Black college and university that was known as an annex school. I would encourage us to do what China does. We go for the top tier businesses, the top tier fields in the world, and we just simply educate people on how to manage that. How China got Apple to come. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's interesting what you're saying then. So let's do a quick summary of
Hold
the
on,
models.
I see. 1 second, because I want DC to finish. Because after this, I want you to say what you're gonna say, and we're gonna wrap this up. Because I don't want to run too long. Yeah,
Okay.
and this
Yeah.
because this is good stuff, but this is a if we're gonna have these conversations, there's parts of what the brother's saying, what you're gonna say that need to sink in. So I don't want to cheapen it by going deep and then cutting you halfway. So DC, if you finish what you gotta say,
Oh no,
just
I'm
after,
good. I'm sorry. I was just
yeah,
no. I was just saying that
and
like my whole plan would be is for us to address the issue.
Hold on.
don't worry, Rixie, we're coming to you. Don't worry.
No,
Yo, Terry, can I talk to you offline?
my internet is
Oh yeah,
playing
Terry.
up.
Yeah.
All I'm just
Oh
going
right.
to say,
See.
what I want to quickly say is first most we have to understand: are we addicted to any form of situation of a European system because it's been so long? Secondly, we have to look at where the facts of where did these big governments arrive from, because they weren't big in the beginning. They had to start from somewhere. And most countries, when you look at any form of race, you will find that it arrives from poor areas, because you have to rise from somewhere local, and then you got to understand what system are you going to actually follow to pushing yourself forward in galvanizing your people to go in somewhere. So in me saying that is that before you even think of land, you have to have some form of a system amongst each other to be able to move forward.
Yes.
That's all I got to say about that.
Stay right there, Riggsy. I'm coming back to you to close out. Go through
Hey, Rick, can I
IC3.
talk to you for a few minutes after the show's over? 'Cause I gotta ask you something real quick.
Yeah, definitely, brother. Definitely. Stay on board. I see.
Yeah. So
Say what you're
I'm
gonna say, brother.
just going to see if I can summarize the three models that we've discussed this evening. In my understanding, model one, land-centered. The land-centered model. That's Mr. Riggs' model and the Black Ice TV model, as far as I understand. That model is get on good terms with a leader or somebody in Africa who is maybe king or president over a land, get citizenship, organize a number of people to get citizenship of that land and become citizens of that land under that leader or president, and then using that citizenship, and you are now connected to a land mass. Yeah, so this is your land-centered model. You're now connected to a land mass in Africa, and you're a member of that African place. And then from there, you plan to do business, improve business, and increase your business model, thereby impressing the African leader who granted you that land in Africa, and thereby developing Africa and improving the life for the diaspora, who are members and citizens of that landmass that you have managed to secure. Okay, that's how I understand your model to be. The model,
By the way, IC3, that's not my model though.
It's not.
No, but it might be Richie's, but not mine.
No,
okay, so I
he's
understood.
explaining amalgamation of certain things, bro. Don't worry, tell.
Yeah, so and then I understand DC Brad's model to be find a place that is sovereign, and then that sovereign place is a separate entity, and then place your model, your banking, your identity, attach it to an organization that's based on that sovereign space, and then build business and empire from there. Is that correct, DC Brad? Your model? Your model based on being connected to a sovereign place. See, so I'm misunderstanding your models, you see. apparently.
Don't worry, brother. We'll re-clarify it. What's your final thought for the people before we leave, bro?
Yeah, well, so my final thought for the people is that whatever your plan is, you should be able to condense it into just a few sentences. And then if people want to question, then they can dig and drill down further into what you're saying. But just to keep talking and laying out the whole model, it's too much. You should be able to condense it and then deal with the questions as they come, as people ask. That's strength. So I'm suggesting that's the best approach.
All right, no doubt. Listen, people, big up to everybody in the chat that's came on, contributed with comments, came on the panel, said a few things. Big up to everyone who's joined us silently, watched from Facebook, watched on YouTube, supported Black Eyes TV from day dot. Riggsy, is there anything you want to promote moving forward? I know you got the creators. I was going to play your promo. You got anything you want to say, Riggsy, before we close out? All right, everyone's cool. Big up to everybody for joining us. Let me just bring up what I wanted to. We're back again next Tuesday. Same thing, True Talk. Another subject matter for the people them. So look out for that. Appreciate IC3 for supporting the channel, having the patience to chat with us. Big up to my brethren George Macon. Big up to Brother Minister. Big up to Frank. Look out for the subject coming up in the week. We will have more interviews in the week coming up. There will be another talk with the creatives coming up on Black Eyes TV 2, X2. Don't forget to go subscribe to that channel for Talk with the Creatives. But join us again on Black Eyes TV, definitely next week, Tuesday, 9 o'clock, for another True Talk where we'll be going in on some different subjects. Big up to the people then. Peace, peace, peace.